Good day, my lads. Today, we are going to deal with a few... What is it? I think it's time I take over. And we have a little conversation. Oh, come on now. Isn't it my turn to be in charge? You're always in charge. Today, we have a little fun from my perspective. Alright. Do it your way. Guide me, oh powerful narrator, your voice being as booming and beautiful as it is. Your flattery will get you nowhere, Carstus. Fine. Let's get to it then. Indeed.
Permission to report, Lord Captain. Over the past few days, I received several messages from different decks complaining about anonymous behaviors in the ship's cogitators and servitors. The machine spirits are restless and rebellious, and no tech litany or ritual of purification can rid them of this obstinacy. The tech priests can deal with the vessel's systems, but the servitors, they make errors in their tasks, disobey orders, change the assigned rituals, or sometimes downright freeze as if in a trance.
A click comes through the Vox channel, followed by a weary sigh.
Lord Captain, occurrences such as these are caused by errors in cogitator calculations or have some other sensible explanation. I beseech you not to take after those who whisper about the ship being cursed or possessed.
Adira joins the channel and chimes in playfully.
Oh, don't start, old man. All these peculiar happenings have long since turned into local legends. A door slams shut, a lumen starts flickering. Folk have grown used to all that, so our resident ghost has decided to up the ante. I'm telling you, things are only going to get worse from here. The technomats inspected the servitors and concluded they pose no danger. According to the servants of the Omnissiah, such behavior is caused either by the echoes of minds not completely eliminated or by manifestations of the machine spirit's will. Nevertheless, the faulty servitors make the crew's tasks considerably more difficult, and High Factorum Generis Danrock would like to discuss how he should deal with the defective property. He is awaiting your audience on the bridge.
The corpulent man in lavish clothes bows before you, not without difficulty. A servo skull whirs over his shoulder while the fingers of his augmented hand drum against the sheaf of papers he is holding, and he regards you with attentive interest through the lens of his magnifying implant. Greetings, your lordship. Generous Danrock, at your service. Vigdis informed me about a problem with the Servitors. What happened?
You see, your lordship, the ship's servitors have been malfunctioning of late. They violate protocols, interrupt their tasks, observe crew members for long periods of time, and move erratically with no meaning or purpose.
Generous Danrock nervously pulls on his luxurious frock coat, as if it were uncomfortably tight.
Had it been a routine technical fault, I would have decided the fate of these servitors myself, but I deemed it necessary to notify you. I do not wish to hide such irregularities from the Lord Captain.
Oh, you are not like our seneschal. I like that.
If you wish to observe the servitors' unusual behavior before you decide their fate, this can be arranged. The majority of defective units have been delivered to one of the storage compartments, pending your decision.
I wish to take a look at these servitors before deciding their fate. I'm so glad you wish to participate.
As you wish, your lordship.
As if you'd give me a chance to decide for myself. You're right. I wouldn't. When his lordship arrived at the scene, he found the servitors in the same position that they assumed after they'd been corralled into the bay, all standing in a long spiraling line and facing the center of their strange formation. The moment his lordship crossed the threshold of the bay gate, their bodies jerked into motion, all as one, as if obeying a command. The servitors turned to face the Lord Captain. The technomats, tasked with observing the defective units, even reached for their weapons. But then the servitors went still, just as abruptly, staring at his lordship with vacant eyes. All present held their breath, disturbed by this sight. We waited for the Lord Captain to speak. His lordship, Carstus Mugro von Valancius, took several steps towards the servitors. Immediately, The servitors, each and every one of them, stepped toward the Lord Captain in perfect unison. They mimicked his movements with frightening precision. The rogue trader halted in place, and after a moment's thought, waved his hand, and the servitors, just as synchronously, repeated the gesture as well. When the Lord Captain turned quizzically to the technomats, so did the servitors, as if mocking him. Whatever the Lord Captain did, be it incline of the head, a wave of the hand, or a step to the side, the defective units repeated it without a moment's delay or hesitation. Like grotesque marionettes controlled by an unseen puppeteer, we observed this mime unfold in distressed bafflement for nearly a minute, until the servitors finally came to a stop. Not sensing any threat from them, the rogue trader approached with confidence. The Lord Captain, "Examine the servitors." As High Factorum, it was I who prompted the entire inspection, and thus it was my duty to follow the Lord Captain. As we stepped closer, we noticed the fascinating irregularity. The servitors' pupils, normally still, were shaking wildly. Their bulging veins were pulsating under their copper collars, inscribed with their past offenses. It was as if those mindless half-machines were locked in a perpetual state of extreme tension. A visibly shaken technomat behind us proposed that the human souls had awakened within the servitors' bodies after a long slumber within their lobotomized brains. Formerly, bereft of intelligence, they had attained awareness, feeling, and understanding. After a pause, the technomat added that the servitors used to function properly, and that no one had been able to explain the change in their behavior. His gaze still trained on the motionless but animate half-machines and half-people, the Lord Captain stepped away from the servitors, for I am no heretic, demanded a report on the defective unit status from the technomates. The technomat's long-winded and detailed report could have been summarized in a single key point. Despite the servitors' abnormal behavior, they were still quite capable of carrying out tasks, and therefore the circumstances did not call for their termination. Ordered one of the servitors to be disassembled and its components investigated. A group of technomats hurried to act upon the Lord Captain's command. The servitor's mechanical parts separated with clinks, snaps, and hisses. The sutures between its wrinkled pale flesh and its augments were laid disgustingly bare. We watched the technomats do their work and could see every centimeter of the servitor's stiff muscles abounding with valves and cavities pierced by countless cords and tubes. The disassembly and analysis complete, the technomats concurred that the unit was in working order. Nothing in the dissected body that lay before us could provide any insight into the reason behind the defects. I should make note of one more thing. At that moment, all of us present discovered that not just the eyes, but the hands and heads of some of the servitors were now shaking too. It was as if the mechanized servants were overcome with some primordial terror. I turned to announce my decision. Dispose of the servitors so that their human souls may be released from torment. To send the servitors back to toil as they had toiled before, for they had not yet paid their dues for the crimes of their past lives, and thus did not deserve clemency. Destroy them, leave the servitors their work. The Lord Captain was dogmatic in his decision. On the Lord Captain's orders, the servitors were returned to the same decks where they had worked before. The crew was initially unnerved by their presence, but adapted to their quirks soon enough. Especially since, following the incident in question, there was a noticeable reduction in the servitors' strange behavior. With the fate of the defective servitors decided, nothing could now distract the Lord Captain from his mission. A nice quick story time. I appreciate it, narrator. You're very welcome, Karstis. Now, you can get back to saving the Kronos Expanse, or doing whatever it is you really wish to do. Oh yeah, we're gonna do some fun stuff. Like go and see a void ship. Shout out to the patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on Patreon. You too can support the channel on Patreon by heading down in the description below. Or you can support by becoming a channel member here on YouTube. Or, as always, you can support for free by hitting like, subscribe, the bell notification, and commenting. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a wonderful start to your week.